Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Stephanie Bree, and today I'm finally doing my top 25 comic book slash superhero movies of all time. Top 25 best superhero and comic book movies. Now I'm lumping comic book and superhero movies together because not all movies based on comic books are superheroes. And I didn't want to do a separate list of just comic book based movies and superhero movies because I don't know if there would be enough comic book movies out there if you don't include the superhero movies, or at least enough good ones to make a top 25. So this is my list. Number 25 is Kick Ass. Now, I really love this movie more than it resonates on this list, but this movie has a fatal flaw. Nicolas fucking Cage. I can't stand him. He is in this movie and prominently in this movie. I would like it a whole hell of a lot more if he wasn't in it. And this would be higher up on the list. Number 24 is the original Thor. Now, I could have put other Thors here, but I think that first one is the one that really makes the character what he would become. And that first Thor movie is just fucking awesome. You know, it's just fucking eye candy. The whole goddamn movie. Number 23 is Batman from 1989. This is Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton. And this is the movie that got me into comic book and superhero movies. As is the case for a lot of people. Probably not the best Batman movie of all Batman movies, but a damn good fucking movie. And definitely a really good one to reintroduce the character to mass audiences, moviegoers especially. Number 22 is Wonder Woman 1984, or Wonder Woman 84, as it's, I think, officially called. I really had a blast watching this movie. Side by side, I like this one better than the original. Yeah, I do. This is a more entertaining movie. And it's fun. I want my comic book movies to be fun, and Wonder Woman 84 is fun. Number 21 took me by a surprise. I wasn't expecting to like it, especially based on the reviews it got and the cast it had. But I ended up enjoying it tremendously. Number 21 is Suicide Squad. The first one with Jared Leto as Joker and Harley Quinn and Will Smith and all those people. Yeah, fucking awesome movie. I don't know why people don't like this movie. I think they just need to go back and give it another shot. Get off their high horse. Number 20 is Marvel's Avengers. This is the first Avengers movie where they all come together. Just great fucking movie. This one, really set the stage for what the MCU was going to build up to and showed movie audiences and movie studios that you could do a shared universe well. And that's what they did. Number 19 is X-Men from the year 2000, the very first one that Bryan Singer did. Classic fucking movie. This is the movie that really started the superhero craze. Yeah, we could argue all day long about Blade, but Blade isn't well known. X-Men is. This is coming off the high of the 1990s animated cartoon, as well as a slew of video games and action figures, and even the comics of the 90s are hella iconic. They rebranded the comics in the 90s, and this is coming off of that high. And it's a damn good movie. Number 18 is Transformers from 2007, the first Michael Bay Transformers film. I know what you're thinking. You're going to say, Transformers is a toy property. It is, and the comic book is based on the toys, but the characters get their personalities from the comic, and the comic was published before the toys hit the market. in the US as Transformers. We're not going to get into the messy, complicated bullshit backstory of how they used to be another toy line, because that's not relevant. But Transformers is a fucking awesome movie. It's hella fun. It's got good heart. It's got a fun story, good fun characters. It's all around good fun. It's what you want in a comic book movie. What more can you fucking ask for? Great action. And fucking robots. Alien robots that transform into cars and weapons and planes and tanks and stuff. Come on. Number 17 is Bumblebee. This one is on the awesome scale, on par with 2007, but on the heart scale and character scale, this one's a little bit better. It's got a better, well-defined story, better, well-developed characters. It's a little more heartfelt. This one's a down-to-earth human story with giant robots as characters in the movie, which works really good for me. Number 16 is X-Wing Dark Phoenix. This is the best of the second timeline of X-Men, the first class timeline of X-Men characters of their films. This is the best of the best. A damn fucking good movie. I saw it in theaters and I was blown away by it. Now, we'd already done the Dark Phoenix saga storyline, kinda, sorta, with The Last Stand, but this one was a different take on it. Again, different from the comics, different from the cartoon, different from what's come before. So this was an original take on the Phoenix saga, which I enjoy because, I don't want you to rehash the same story. I want you to show me something new. And that's what this movie did. It gave me something new. So all those people who piss on this movie because it's nothing like the comics. It's not supposed to be like the comics. Read the fucking comics, dipshits. Number 15 is why this list is not just superhero movies. Because number 15 is one of the greatest comic book based movies of all time. And it has nothing to do with superheroes at all. And either you've never heard of it at all, or if you have heard of it, you didn't realize it was a comic book movie. It's Ghost World with Scarlett Johansson, who has her comic book chops well deserved, and Thora Birch, who, is an actress people remember. And also Steve Buscemi and some other people you're going to recognize their faces, but maybe not their names. Ghost World is kind of a coming-of-age story in a way. Two teenage girls who graduate high school who are trying to find their way in the world. And they take different paths. But it's good, it's well written, it's heartfelt, it's funny, it's entertaining, it's what I like. Number 14 is Elektra. Elektra did for me what Wonder Woman did for a lot of other people. Elektra solidified female comic book heroes for me. It was like, finally, an action movie with a female-centric cast and a female-centric storyline. And it had that mother-daughter dynamic, which is really good for me. I think Elektra is highly underrated, and I think people need to give it a second chance. Number 13 is Fantastic Four from 2005. This is the one where Chris Evans plays the Human Torch long before he was Captain America. And this one sets up the backstory. So this is an origin story of the Fantastic Four. And so this one's set outside the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So a lot of people don't like it for various reasons. But those people can fuck off. Or have their own opinions, and I don't care. You're allowed to like what you like. I love this movie. I thought this movie was a lot of fucking fun. Number 12, this is for everybody watching this video that doesn't like number 12. It's X-Men The Last Stand. I fucking love The Last Stand. I saw this movie 3 times in theaters, and I would have saw it a 4th time in theaters if it wasn't for the fact that Revenge of the Sith came out the same summer as this, and I had to spend the rest of my summer money on that movie. Because, you know, Star Wars trumps everything. This movie was fantastic. You had Kelsey Grammer playing the Beast as he should be played. You had Famke Janssen just killing it as Jean Grey. Jean Grey being my favorite X-Men character. So she's killing it in this movie. It really, really drives home the point that mutants are just normal people. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's no need for a cure. And great action pieces. All around fun movie. Number 11 is Thor Ragnarok. Now, the last Thor movie they did was fine. And the second Thor movie they did was rubbish. But Ragnarok was a damn good movie. And Ragnarok was one that really impacted the MCU, the broader MCU as a whole. And we really got to see the limits of Thor. We got to see the limits of his power. And we got to see the limits of his humanity. Although he's not technically human. Now we're into the top 10. In the spot of number 10, we have Captain America Civil War. This movie earned its spot on this list. That's all I'm going to say. You've seen it, I've seen it, we've all seen it. Moving on. Number 9 is The Mask with Jim Carrey. This is another one that is a flash in the pan. It was popular for a spell, spawned a cartoon and some other stuff, and then it disappeared. Largely because the sequel, air quotes, sucks. The Mask is funny as hell. Just everything you love in a comic book story, you know. It's got interesting characters. It's got a fun, you know, comic book city, a good comic book storyline. It's just comics to the T. Number 8. And I know a lot of people are going to stop watching as soon as I say it. I don't care. I'll love it. It's one of my favorite comic book movies of all time. It's one of my favorite Batman movies of all time. It gets a lot of hate, but I don't think it deserves that hate. This is Batman Forever. First of all, Val Kilmer is a better Batman than Michael Keaton. Deal with it. Second of all, we actually got some character development, you know, in Bruce Wayne. And we got a really kick-ass Joker. Riddler. It's the Joker dressed up in Riddler clothes. And we got a over-the-top but enjoyable Two-Face. And everybody else hamming it up, just having fucking fun. Just a fucking awesome movie. Number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy, the original. Now, I just saw part 3 last night, and while I loved it, it didn't bump anything on the list for me. It stays where it is. It stays where it is. This one is number 7. This one tops it. This one is still the best of the best. Again, Guardians of the Galaxy is not technically a superhero movie. It's more like a space fantasy, kind of like a Star Wars. You know? So, yeah, damn good fucking movie. Just fun cast of characters, an interesting story, you know, good character development. You know, I love how they all come together and they all, you know, like hate each other at first. and then end up becoming a family by the end of the movie. And that's fucking awesome for me. Number 6 was going to be Clerks, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized I prefer Mallrats for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons I like Mallrats better than Clerks as a comic book movie is Stan the Man himself makes an appearance, a prominent, important appearance in this movie. And you can't fault it for that. The other thing is, this one is a lot more like a comic book superhero action adventure movie than anything else Kevin Smith has done, even more so than Clerks. Clerks is better at deconstructing the comic book psyche of comic book fans, whereas Mallrats is more like a comic book movie. And so as comic book movies go, it belongs on the list. Number 5 is Spider-Man from 2002, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. My Spider-Man. This is the Spider-Man. This is the first live-action Spider-Man film. This is by far the best live-action Spider-Man film. And, spoilers, the only one to make this list. And the only one worthy of this list. Number 4 is X-Men 2, X-Men United. So, this is another one I saw multiple times in theaters. And this is my favorite of all the X-Men movies. This is the one that really gets to the heart of the X-Men as characters, as outcasts, and really humanizes them, even though they have superpowers. And at the time, this was one of the most impressive superhero movies available. At the time, you know. Number 3 is the Avengers Endgame. We went ahead and skipped over all the other Avengers. The first one made the list. But between this one and the original, those are the two most important ones. You could watch those two back to back and get away with it, I think. You might be missing out on a whole bunch of bullshit, but it still works. Endgame is one of the most effective superhero movies. It's one of the greatest superhero movies. Obviously, it's number 3 on the list. It was the capstone and should have been the end of the MCU, but that's another story for another day. It's a great fucking movie. I love this movie. Number 2 is just a little bit better and a little bit more important in the development of comic book characters and even in its place in the MCU. Number 2 is Captain America: The Winter Soldier. This is the one that elevated comic books to new heights. It said you can do a comic book movie that isn't just your typical superhero movie. This is a political thriller dressed up in comic book clothes. And it's a damn good one at that. Number 1, once again, my favorite comic book character of all time, takes the top spot. It's Batman. And before I say which Batman it is, I just want to say that even though this movie takes the top spot and is, in my opinion, the greatest comic book movie ever made, it's still not perfect and has flaws. But I'm not going to get into that here. I'm just going to say it's the motherfucking Dark Knight, y'all. The Dark Knight will always be, forever and ever, the greatest comic book movie of all time. Nothing is going to top it. I don't think anything can top it, and I don't mean box office financial numbers. I just mean in terms of its just overall, like, capturing a comic book story on film. This is the best that they have ever done. And you'll notice this wasn't done by Disney. I know. Shocker. The Dark Knight is literally a comic book, comic book pages lifted off the page and transplanted into film. And it did it better than any other comic book movie since and or before it. I mean, it's the king of them all.